President-elect Donald Trump is doubling down on his vow to end birthright citizenship, discussing his deportation plan on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker this morning. Yesterday, Trump said that he would end birthright citizenship in the United States, but the 14th Amendment grants citizenship to those born in the country. Trump said in part, if somebody gets just a foot on our land, they are a citizen of the United States of America, but he plans to end that, calling it ridiculous. Chief Legal Analyst Rhodes here to discuss this. And can Trump really end birthright citizenship using an executive order?
I'm glad you added that extra part. Can Trump using executive? Absolutely not. This would take an amendment. You're going to need an amendment to do this. The executive powers are extremely vast. The executive can do a number of things.
As of the Supreme Court decision, yes.
Right. For sure can do a lot of things. But you can't amend the Constitution without going to Congress. Congress will have to do an amendment. You'll need 2/3 of the House and the Senate, and then it will have to be ratified by the states.
They have the control of the House, and
they have the control.
But Trump, as we can see, could put some his strong arm behind that.
They have a majority, but they don't have enough votes for 2/3. Now you got the 47, you got the 51, all that. That's great. But what you don't have is a 2/3 majority, which would be needed for this. The other thing is you can get 2/3 of the states on their own, 27 states to go out there and do this. And I think that will be, I should say 2/3 of the states to do this. And of the amendments that we've had, no state's ever done that, which is saying go out there and the states make a determination if we want to have the Constitution Amendment. I don't see that happening. So I don't think by far he doesn't have the votes. But to your original question, can this be done with the executive order? The answer is absolutely not. I mean, I used to teach constitutional law. I don't profess to be a constitutional scholar, but I can say that with a plain reading of constitutional law, you need Congress, who's there, that checks and balance that we talk about all the time, to make something like this happen. Now, I think that, does he want to see it happen? Yes. Does he have a desire to see this change? For sure, but he just doesn't have the votes. I don't think there's a Democrat out there that's going to support this.
Probably not a Democrat, but most of the Republicans, yes. And then, like we were talking about, executive order. We've seen a lot of presidents do this over the years, and it's not just Trump in his first term. It's Biden and also Obama and Bush before that. They'll use the executive order to get things done through and pass those when they want to do an end around of Congress.
You got to pick a lot of fights, right? And I think this is a president that will not run from a fight. He's shown that before. When he sinks his teeth into something, he's not going to let loose, right? But there is a number of things that they can get passed with this next administration that won't require 2/3 vote, that can be passed by a majority, that they can push forward without much pushback or much bipartisan support. But this is not one of them that I can see seeing the light of day, specifically any Democrats, but even some Republicans. Because what folks aren't talking about with this is that if you're saying birthright citizenship is removed, we're only looking at it from one point, which is for the illegal folks that are bringing people here and then they're having a child here. Now that child, by looking at the plain language of the 14th Amendment, is now a citizen. But what you're not talking about is just you and me that were born here, and our proof of citizenship is our birth certificate. Well, now how will you prove that you are a citizen if your birth certificate isn't enough? Because that person that was born illegally here will also have a birth certificate. So now you're opening up Pandora's box to challenging citizenship across the board. And that's something I don't think anybody wants to do.
All right, Chief Legal Analyst Rhodes, we'll leave it there, but we'll certainly pick this topic back up here in a month or so.